And welcome back to another episode of the Consistency Engine podcast. I'm your host, Dean Patton. With me as always, Chase Collier. How are you doing today, Chase?
Doing great in this Nebraska weather while it tries to figure out what it wants to do.
Yeah, had a little bit of sunburn this weekend and not anymore. Now I need a jacket. So we are back for another episode, and I was just kind of thinking about a few different ideas I wanted to talk about, and I kind of wanted to hit back on some fitness topics this week, and we can go multiple different ways when we're talking about fitness, and I know we talked about talk about lifting weights, rep ranges, stuff like that, and I want to get to that too, but I also want to talk about how this idea of, fitness and your leadership and how they intermingle together. When I think about my story and think about how well I led my family, the ability for me to lead my family got so much better when I got fit. And just kind of talk about that idea. I think that's something that maybe lots of people don't necessarily recognize or put two and two together until they actually live that life.
With fitness and leadership and family and all of the stuff we talk about, there's so much that is interconnected, and probably one of the quotes that goes towards that is, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And when you look at people that are into fitness or very good at one particular thing in life, it doesn't need to be fitness, but they normally take that ownership and that kind of extreme side of getting work done into other areas of life. When you look at people that go to the gym, you kind of have the people with the gym memberships that never show up, which is the normal gym membership holder probably. The kind of middle category is the one that shows up. They're there, they're at the gym, they check it off their to-do list, but they don't really exert the energy. Hey, I went to the gym, cool. And then you have the extremes like Dane and I, that when we're there, like, we are there to do business. We're there to do better, push our bodies to the limits, our minds to the limits. But that extreme category are probably people that throughout the rest of the different aspects of lives are doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, and I totally, I agree with that 100%, and you see it, yeah, and that kind of comes back to the conversation about being interested or committed to, about how you show up matters, and if you're showing up to the gym, are you there to, are you talking and conversing with people there, or are you actually getting your workout done, and you have a plan that you're following and all that kind of stuff, so. And I was bringing it up just because, people have made some comments over the past couple of years as I've made the physical transformation, and they've said things to me that they never would have said prior to me losing the weight and getting a little bit more fit. I was like, well, I never like, when I still see myself, there's still sometimes where I see the old version of me, just because it's kind of baked into my brain.
A little bit of body dysmorphia.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. And I still see that. And then when somebody compliments the way that I look or something like that, and it's like, well, I don't do this for a compliment or for somebody, the vanity reasons or metrics out there. It's more because I figured out that if I put myself first and I go do that work, yes, the visual results change, but the capacity I have to do more things, to be more present for my family, to be more present and involved in my business, like all of those things got better when I started to get more fit.
There's a lot of different aspects to it as well. It's not just the vanity side, because there's the internal health of our body. That, yes, it'd be cool to always have washboard abs and walk around all muscular, but how much better do your insides feel, and you sleep better and recover better and can play with your kids better, go on vacations, not have to worry about, hey, I'm going to wake up and not be able to walk tomorrow type thing. And it's so much more than that vanity aspect to it. It also goes into the mental aspect of it, is how much mental clarity, mental strength, and just overall clarity of your vision do you get when you implement the right fitness into what you're doing in life.
Yeah, and I think that's something that's important to talk about too, because I remember when I was losing all the weight, and I could start to see my abs, and that started. But then it got to a point where I was getting I was losing so much weight, and I was seeing my abs more and more, but I wasn't feeling as good as I did when maybe you could kind of tell they were there, but they weren't the the hard abs and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, so there's you see this visual change, and it looks appealing to people, but it's like I wasn't my best version when I was like that, like all together. And just being aware of that, because I think there's a lot of people that think that they need to go do that and get the abs for the look, but then they're ignoring all these other signs of actually being healthy and able, because then I was like, I'm so tired all the time because I wasn't fueling my body correctly. I was fueling it with less and less food so I could see those abs.
Yeah. And on that note, like, there are extremes to everything. If you look, because I've researched too much into the bodybuilding space, the guys that are on stage at their absolute best, and they're just peeled. You can see all the veins, all the muscle striations, all the stuff that people are trying to achieve. But I will tell you that when you are in that state, as lean as they are, you have brain fog. You don't want to do anything but sleep. You can't put sentences together. It affects your hormones. So yes, they're doing it to compete on stages, but if you're just an everyday person trying to better your life, you don't need to go to that extreme, because it will start a negative impact.
Yeah, because I think the lowest I got, on the in-body scan was like 5.3% body fat, which is pretty lean. I was like super excited that that's what it said, but I was like, I don't feel like I thought that I would. It kind of goes back to, when you get all this money and you think that you're going to be happy, and then you still aren't happy, and there's a hole somewhere inside of you. It's the same level of thinking. What actually is the vision? What's making you happy? Like, what are you doing this for? And it wasn't the vanity metric that I started with, and then I kind of got engulfed in the thought of trying to look a certain way, or maybe being able to get on a stage at some point in time. And it's like, this wasn't worth it. And then I've always said that maybe at some point in time that might be a goal of mine. And a few years ago, I was like, well, maybe I can do it before I turn 40. That'd be cool. But the more that I put myself in that position, and I was like, what am I sacrificing to do this? And I'm going to be sacrificing meals with my family. I'm going to be sacrificing more time away from them to be at the gym more frequently. And then what am I losing in my business for doing these things? And it's like, man, is that something that I want to focus my time on? Or I could say, maybe at some point that could be when my priorities are a little bit different, when I don't have small children at home, and we're not worrying about making 3 different kinds of meals every single day, and all that kind of stuff. So it's really, I don't know how many times we can come back to it, but it's, what is that vision that you have for what you want to accomplish and what you want to see in your life?
You can look at it too kind of as a maintenance side of things, is depending on what your vision looks like, your goals look like. If you want to be a bodybuilder, men or women, go after it. Like, that takes so much commitment, and anyone who does that, like, all hands to you. You're doing great work. It is a lot of work and time to do that. But if you're somebody who runs a business, manages your family life, and have all these other things going on, think about fitness almost as your car, because you have to do maintenance to your car. It needs to be maintained, and if you don't maintain it, you can't drive it. And the same goes with your body. So whatever that vision looks like, that alignment between all aspects of life, figure out how fitness can fit into that for you.
Yeah, and once I kind of got to probably like 10 to 12% body fat, that's when I was like, man, I feel great now, and I feel like I can accomplish just about everything that I want to throughout the day, and not needing an extra energy boost or something like that later in the day, an energy drink or a coffee or something like that, and then all the work that I've been doing to get my sleep in order and stuff. So I feel way better at that certain range, and not it's not an extreme. And I think that's so important, because but if I allow it to creep up too much, then all of those negative side effects start to come back. I'm too tired. I'm lethargic. I have the brain fog. All of that stuff. So it's so interesting to see. We always talk about what gets tracked gets improved, and just tracking that stuff and being aware of it.
One of the things that I started doing, and this is just me personally, about 4 years ago, which is a while after I got into fitness, every time we travel, I find some beautiful scenic view and I take a back double bicep photo. And for me, that's just a tracking thing of, hey, you're still doing what you said you're going to do. You're enjoying vacation. You went on this hike that a lot of people may not have been able to make. I want something to represent that. So, like, fitness should be some sort of milestone or marker for you of, this is one aspect of life and this is where I want to be, because it will flow into the other stuff. You just mentioned what gets tracked. And one of the things that we see often for people who want to lose weight, they want to gain muscle, they want to get into fitness, is they don't have a plan. And it should go the exact same way as mapping out your goals, and the same way you do it in business is, what do you need to do daily, weekly, monthly to get to that point? And without that plan, you're just going to be somebody that's in the gym mindlessly lifting weights, which good for being there, but you're not making progress because you don't have the plan.
Yeah, in most, we've talked about like my non-negotiables. In a large majority of them are fitness related, but I know, because if I'm taking care of myself physically, I have the capacity to do other things in my life, and so yeah, the non-negotiables there. But then also I have some non-negotiables about my business and career that I'm checking off the box every single day. I'm making sure that I'm doing something to help grow either myself or help grow my team, leading towards like the expansion projects that I'm trying to work on. Like, I'm always like little check boxes off. That way I know I'm staying on top of things. But first is usually taking care of myself.
One of the comments you've made on a prior episode was just the small wins.
Yeah.
And you need to figure out what that looks like for you. It could be running in the morning. It could be stretching, yoga, meditation. There's multiple different sides of fitness out there. And we like lifting, but all of them are good things to be in. And if you can figure out what a small win once a day, twice a day for your fitness journey looks like, it just helps you stack more wins on your day.
Yeah, and understanding that fitness isn't a destination, it is a journey. You're always progressing, you're always working towards, either working towards a better version of you or a slightly less better version of you, depending on what you are. But also not, not demonizing food. We've talked about that in the past too. Maybe we haven't talked about it on episodes, but there's times where we go off of our scheduled diet from time to time, mostly when we're traveling, just because we like to experience different foods and stuff like that, but not throwing the baby out with the bathwater and saying, oh, I had this terrible meal, I'm just going to take the whole week and do that. Like, understanding it's intentional, we're doing this, but then tomorrow I'm back to eating the same thing and tracking my protein intake and that kind of stuff.
The discipline goes into all different aspects. Was talking with somebody yesterday about a cheat meal, and I'm like, a cheat meal is a meal. It is not a day, it is not a weekend, it's not a week. And even if you're traveling, yes, you can indulge, but once you understand your vision for your fitness and understand nutrition, you can, if you're on vacation, you can have a donut a day. Like, that is one of the things I enjoy, but I also prioritize protein. I might have a couple meals without any carbs and just have a ton of protein and greens. That way I can have a donut and it doesn't affect anything. So there is a lot of balance in what you're trying to do with the nutrition and the fitness.
And I think a lot of that comes down to just being self-aware and being mindful of that. So, I mean, you hear people talk about mindful eating. Well, just understanding, okay, I need to eat a certain amount of protein because of the goals that I have and the fitness level that I want to be at. And if I'm going to have some of this extra fats or carbs or something like that, then make sure that I eat this, or I'm going to make sure I eat this, and then incorporate that in there. So, and you know, there's lots of foods that I say that we shouldn't be eating and all that, and there's a lot of garbage out there. But if you're mindful about it, it's all right to dabble once in a while.
So one of the things you wanted to bring up was leadership. I know we started talking about it a little bit, but looking just at a high level glance, look at a lot of the people on YouTube or writing books and people that have those cult followings. The majority of them are in very good shape. A lot of them prioritize health above most things. And when I think about like the top tier leader out there, there's fitness somewhere in their life. You hear about David Goggins, who just runs and runs and runs. Like, figuring...
Set the pull-up world record and all
yes.
that. It does 100-milers and, yeah, crazy.
But when you think about an excellent leader, because they are so entrenched into their well-being physically and mentally, they can become a better version of the leader they want to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's... You know, when you talk about those people, especially those big kind of influencer types and stuff like that, you know, the Tony Robbins, Alex Hormozis, Andy Frisella's, you know, all those people. There's fitness, you know, Jocko. All of those people have fitness, you know, wrapped around whatever it is that they're doing, and there's a reason before that. You know, the healthier you are, really, I think the smarter you become. At least in my opinion, I feel like I'm way smarter now being more fit and physically active than I was before.
There's probably a connection between pushing yourself physically and pushing yourself mentally. And I notice that if I'm not going as hard in the gym, or it's just one of those lax days or weeks where I'm not wanting it as bad, it flows into the other aspects of my life just because I'm not challenging myself. And those leaders who I think continue to grow and evolve, upgrade into a different version, they aren't afraid to challenge themselves mentally. And when you're in the gym, when you're running a marathon, whatever physical activity you're doing, It is a mental challenge, because most of the time your body can do a heck of a lot more than what your mind says it can. And when you're trying to learn something new in business or put yourself out there, read a book, there's so many different avenues that come back to this challenging yourself. And the more you can do it by yourself on the physical side, the more and easier it's going to become to do it on the mental side.
Yeah, and with the leadership, you know, the fitness and leadership, I think they do go hand in hand. It just from just observations that I've had in my life, you know, looking at people that I think that are leaders, whether they were anointed a leader or they have leadership qualities. And then I look like, how do they carry themselves physically, and whether I'm looking at somebody else or I'm looking at the old version of me, and I'm seeing how I would walk into a room and how he would show up for his business or his family and his community, and it's like that guy wasn't leading from a place that I see confidence in. And now I feel like I do that. I feel like I can walk into a room and depending on what the room is, I can command attention because of how I physically walk into this room. And before, I couldn't do that. Lots of times it would be because I was drinking and have some sort of, funny thing to say or self-deprecation or something like that to get eyes on me. But now I don't have to do that.
The cool thing about confidence, too, I just made a video on this, is confidence is not being loud. It is not ego. Confidence is having love for yourself and having the power in your own being to feel and act the way that is you. It's not to impress other people. Confidence is truly for you, created by you, and that's just the presence you bring. And there's a difference of confidence and cocky or arrogant. But when you have the confidence and just the inner peace, the inner love for yourself, you do show up different. You show up stronger, more present, more willing to help. There's just so much that comes from that inner confidence piece.
Yeah, and I think more awareness too. That's a big thing that I like to talk about a lot because the more physically fit I got, I feel like the more self-aware I got of what my actions were actually causing or contributing to. And that's such a big thing because I think a large majority of the general public is not super self-aware. Just from things that I see out in the world these days.
They're either not self-aware, don't have the confidence, or don't have the self-discipline. And we made this podcast because we want to help people. We want people to be on whatever journey or spot that they're at in life and just make small positive adjustments. And when I look at people, it's not a matter of are you in shape right now? It's a matter of are you putting the actions in to better yourself? Because everybody that we see on a daily basis is at a different spot. And that's perfectly okay. We don't all start in shape with muscles, with abs and all that stuff. And it takes time to get there. But if you're putting the work in and you're getting the steps and drinking the water, there's just so much inner peace and love that you're going to have for yourself. And whether you're on day 1 or day 1,000 of a fitness journey, I respect you for getting into that journey and trying to better yourself.
Yeah, I think one of the most accepting places in the entire world is the gym. And I think I've heard people that don't go to the gym, they think that there's so much judgment involved at the gym.
It's scary.
Yeah. But really when you're in the gym, like everybody is like trying to get better themselves and they're cheering for the people that are in there. Now, it might not be, we're all clapping hands and stuff like that, but we're noticing each other. We're watching each other do the work. And I think it's one of the most accepting and inclusive places that there is.
If you compare that to going to different business events or masterminds or rooms that people are truly trying to grow, it's the same thing. Where we may all be at a different spot, but we're all there for the same reason. It's a positive reason, and we want to support each other to be the best version that we can be.
Oh, and I've been to plenty of those conferences and masterminds, and seeing the people that show up in those rooms, and then there's even a smaller select few are the ones that are showing up in the gym at the same time too. They say that they go to the gym, and then they come to the conference, and then they throwing everything to the wind, and they're doing this and that, and then there's the ones that are actually there to do the work. To show up, we're still going to the gym early in the morning. We're still showing up. We're taking our notes. We're doing all the things, and we're staying focused because we have a clear vision of what we want to do. We're not just coming and partying and hanging out. And it's that to me is eye opening when you walk into a room where everybody says that they're a leader and they're doing that, but then what happens when nobody's watching?
I am not guilty of not showing up because I show up all the time, but I am guilty of some of the trips Dane and I have been on, and he's like, hey, we're working out at 6 or 7 a.m., right? I'm like, yep. and I'll get there and I'm like, hey, I went to bed at 1 a.m., but I'm still here. Like, you can, it's tough to burn the candle at both ends, but are you there to put in the work or not?
Yeah. It's so true. And I mean, to me, that's part of leadership. Saying you're going to do something and then actually doing it. And for me, it's been transformational because like I said, I've talked about how important it's been for my family, but then also, like, I've talked about the correlation to how my business has grown because I've become a physically fit, better version of myself. And I have no problem doing hard things in my business because I proved to myself I can do hard things when I go to the gym or when I prep my food and do all that kind of stuff. Like, it's not easy to do that every single day, eat the same thing or prep for the same thing all week and stuff like that. But I proved myself. I built that confidence.
And meal prep is one of those things that's boring. And we've talked a lot about the boring work. And whether it's your business or fitness and nutrition, it's boring. It's basic. It's easy. It's repeatable. But sometimes people don't like the boring work. They don't want to have just grilled chicken and broccoli and rice. Yeah, it sounds boring. It's bland at times, but that's where the good nutrition is.
And a cool thing, when I first started looking at nutrition and that, and the first coach he kind of taught me about being able to eat pretty much however I wanted to eat, just making sure I could fit it in. And then I moved on to a different coach, and he was way more like drilled down into the nutrition stuff, and he really does not like the chicken, broccoli, and rice kind of, bodybuilder type foods and stuff like that. And he really focuses a lot more on like the macronutrition or the micronutrition and understanding like all of the vitamins and minerals and all of that kind of stuff that you need to have a healthy body are usually in the foods that we're not eating. And we can take supplements, all day long, but you're not really going to get that stuff, unless you're getting it from the natural source.
Supplements are called supplements for that reason. They are a supplementary nutrition piece to take. If you cannot get your vitamins in, your protein in, whatever it is, that is where a supplement goes. A supplement should not be your primary source for whatever that one thing is.
Yeah, and so he taught me a whole lot about, what I could be adding into my daily or weekly meals and stuff like that. So it was really eye-opening, and just to see, you see those guys that they eat the same thing, the chicken, broccoli, and rice and that, and then I see what he makes these macro bowl concepts and stuff like that, and he talks about eating the rainbow a lot and making sure that you have a red and an orange and a green and maybe a purple and foods like that as much as you possibly can, and I've done them both, and I can feel the difference when I eat that way too.
So I know we're running short on time for this episode. We will talk about lifting on an episode to come. It might be part 2. It might be a whole different topic. But just on this topic that we discussed today is leadership runs through all the different categories of your life. Confidence is there. And if you haven't found kind of what piece of fitness you enjoy, go try all the different types of fitness out there. Like, people always give CrossFitters a hard time because it's kind of like, if you're vegan or if you're CrossFit, you'll know as soon as they walk in the room. But CrossFit is great. Yoga, swimming is amazing for your body. Lifting, there's a ton of different ways to lift. There's all the high rock stuff out there now, which is similar to CrossFit. But if you don't know what you enjoy, just go try it, because it doesn't hurt to try and find what you like to do. And same what I tell people in business, if you don't know what part of business you enjoy or what industry you enjoy, go try it. because the more you try, the more you're going to be able to narrow that down. Because in the fitness space, we really want you to have that fire inside of you that when you get to the gym or fitness studio, whatever it is, you are ready to go and you're going to kick butt and take names during that workout.
Yeah, that's the most important message that I want to get across to people too is, find something that you enjoy doing, because if you enjoy doing it, guess what? You're more likely to do it. So I like to lift weights. Chase likes to lift weights. We are excited when we get to go lift weights. He's not super excited to go on long runs. We've tried to do that before. I don't actually love long runs either, but
we go on long walks around the lake.
Yeah. Well, long walks much better than long runs. I just started riding my bike again. Now that it's nice outside, I actually really enjoy riding a bike. So getting some cardio in on the bike, and then when I go down a hill, it's really fun.
Then when you have to come back up, it's not as fun.
Yep. If there's only trails that were all hills down. But just finding something that you are passionate about, that you can do on a consistent basis, and you find joy in. And at the beginning, there's usually going to be some struggles, especially if you're very overweight. It's going to be hard, but you'll start, keep showing up. You'll start seeing results, and the results will be addicting, and then you'll be excited to continue to show up and do it. So, whatever that is in your fitness journey, find it, and then share it. I think that's a big thing too. Share it. Like I use my stories as kind of, like I've said, an accountability mechanism. So I post a video of me working out or a picture of me at the gym. Try to almost every single day. So I know that I'm showing other people out there and myself that I showed up for me today.
And if you want to share it with us, drop a comment somewhere of telling us what type of workouts you like to do. If you've thought about competing in anything, whether it's running a 5K, 10K marathon, powerlifting, strongmen, like there's a lot of different things out there, and we want to help celebrate with you. So share anything with us.
All right. Well, that was another episode of the Consistency Engine podcast, where thank you that you are here listening, and we'll see you on the next one.